Good evening. Great to be in Rosslyn again. We've had a lot of good discussions over the years, right in this room actually. I think the last time we were talking about transportation and the bus service down here in Metro and things like that. I think that my approach to government and my approach to the county board as a member really can be summarized in three different things. First, a commitment to community-based planning. Secondly, a commitment to high-quality services and the key strategic investments that make our community a great place to live. And third is a commitment to Arlington's tradition as a welcoming community that's proud of its diversity. I talk about planning. There are, of course, a lot of things in Arlington we can talk about with planning, but I'm specifically thinking about the ways in which we try to bring together transportation and all the development so that, in fact, people have alternatives, so that we can make a place that is dense be a livable place. And also the way we go about it, because one of the most important parts of what I think has made Arlington work is the fact that we do that not just off in some room, but that we work with the community to make sure that as we move ahead, the things that happen in the community serve the community well. Some years ago, for instance, right around the time I think Brennan Fort Myers Heights was really getting going, there was an issue here with a building that was proposed not too far away that raised a lot of concern in the community. And we didn't just, like some places would, say, okay, well, what does the developer want? We're not going to make that happen. We didn't just say, no, we're not going to approve it. We tried to take a thoughtful approach. We brought the community together with the Planning Commission, people on staff, and we took a look at the whole area. And we said, what does this really need to be over time? It's not just about one project and one developer's idea. What needs to happen in the future? And as a result of that work, we got an overlay that covers a larger part of that area, so that not only we didn't wind up approving the building that was originally proposed, but it also means that the community then doesn't have to just keep fighting off one proposal after another, that we've said something to the development community about what we want in the future. And that's one example of the kind of approach that I think is what makes Arlington the kind of place it is, and that I will continue to take as a board member, one who comes out of a tradition of civic participation, as having been a neighborhood association president myself. I'm sure we'll say more about these and other issues as we go through your questions. But let me say also that I think the commitment to the key investments we need in our community, things that are like the transportation system, like streets and sidewalks, good pedestrian facilities, not to mention schools and fire stations and libraries. Those are all things that you can only get by having an active county government, and they're only things you get by making investments. And I think we get a big payoff from them, and it's important that we provide the services that we need, and that we do so in a responsible way. And I'm glad that we've been able to do that while maintaining the lowest tax burden in the region and maintaining a AAA bond rating as a county. I look forward to your questions. Thanks. Well, I'd like to point out that when you talk about growth in county government spending, yeah, there's inflation. And this time, Mr. Kelly acknowledged that there's also been growth in population. We had 189,000 people at the beginning of the decade. We have about 217,000 people now. But that's the nighttime population. There's also the daytime population, which has grown even more. There's also another factor that wasn't mentioned, which is that in that period of time, the federal government and the state government, mostly under legislation by my good friend's party here, has been cutting back tremendously. So one of the things that the county, and like so many other local governments have to do, is pick up a lot of the burden being left because state and federal governments are shifting more and more things. Some of them direct mandates. The state decides not to pay for it, and mandates that the local government will. Sometimes it's things that they cut out and create great problems in the community, and we can't make up for all of it, but we have made an effort to do that. So there are a lot of things that have been a factor in the change in spending in that time. But even when you take all that, if the question is, are we spending more than we used to? Are we doing more as a county government? The answer is yes. And I would argue, well, that's because we should be. With all the growth we've had and the growth in development, it would be something to explain if we hadn't gotten any benefit from it as a community. As I try to say throughout this evening, I think we have a pretty good thing going here in Arlington, and I don't think it's an accident. I think it's because we make the investments we need, we stand by them, we're consistent through time. When times are good and times are bad, we may have to make adjustments, and we stay with long-term policy. We're looking forward to what the next thing is going to be. When times are good, we're thinking about what happens when they're not. When times are like this, we're thinking about, well, what happens when things turn around? And we're always trying to work as much as possible with the community to develop the plans for what we're doing. That's the kind of board member that I want to be. That's what I've tried to do since I was first given the privilege of serving you. And should you return, I look forward to working with you in the future on all the many challenges that clearly we have, and finding good solutions that make life better for all of us. I've really enjoyed working for you, and I'd like to continue doing so, and I hope you'll consider supporting on November 2nd. Thanks very much.